How quickly things can change on the farm. Days ago looking at a bumper crop, now some of that gone with the wind. We'll hear from farmers and crop insurance agents about the devastation. And it's official, a local farmer is now at the highest ranks of governments. We'll hear from Greg Ibaugh. And we meet our farm family of the month later tonight. Get ready to grow.
And faithfully discharge the duties
and faithfully discharge the duties
of the office on which I am about to enter.
of the office of which I am about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Undersecretary Greg Ibaugh.
He's been officially sworn into the USDA. More on Greg Ibaugh in a moment, but we start with those extreme winds devastating farmers here in central Nebraska. We have team coverage starting with Tara Gibbons.
With winds like this on Monday afternoon, one farmer tells me that this is making it more challenging for harvest.
We've got issues, so now being late, the wind, the high winds we've had up to 50, 60 mile an hour are knocking corn over.
As Dale Zorb rides the combine, he says he has about 2 weeks left of harvest, making it very difficult to work.
The ear is actually dropping onto the ground. It is leaving the stalk, and there's no way to, unless you just pick it up by hand, there's no way to get it.
Losing revenue after putting a whole summer of hard work in.
You have the fertilizer inputs into it that you're not going to get. You have to figure out how to, for livestock, to clean it up. And then there's going to be some left for next summer for next year's crop, which you're going to have to contend with it as a weed. Now I need to look at other fields, but there could be an average of 20 bushel or more loss per acre.
He says the high winds on Monday made it worse, making him lose more than last week. From Monday morning to the afternoon, as the winds picked up, he could see a difference.
Days ago, we were looking at a bumper crop. Now, some fortunes are gone with the winds.
You've got a year's worth of effort and expense into the crop, and you're literally seeing it fall off in front of you in the combine.
A few weeks ago, it looked like a bin buster, but extreme winds knocked down corn stalks, in some cases left ears and dollars on the ground.
The old saying, if you don't have it until it's in the bin, definitely came true this year.
It shows why farmers buy crop insurance. Federally backed policies may kick in under certain conditions.
The federal crop insurance will cover it if the yields drop low enough. They're usually at like a 75% level, so if there's a threshold that if the yields drop low enough, they will cover it. Otherwise, they have to take a private product, and wind is an option. Not all farmers take it.
An agent from Northeast Nebraska says 90% of her clients with wind coverage have claims.
We've heard stories that the field started producing 190 and they got done with the field at the end of the day and it was producing 80.
The USDA had expected Nebraska farms to yield on average 181 bushels of corn an acre. Some well-irrigated areas much higher. But from Caro to Beamer, crop insurance agents say wind could claim a third of the crop for some farmers, and without insurance, they'd have nothing.
They've still got to pay their bills for the next year, and I'm not really sure how they would be paying those bills without some of these products out there.
This seminar highlights possible changes.
Whenever a farm bill comes around, we get nervous that they're going to, because obviously we've got a huge debt, the nation does, and so they're looking to make cuts somewhere.
These agents say Congress needs to protect that safety net that helps farmers in times like these.
Farming is unlike any other job where you might not get paid, and you've put in more hours than the typical 9 to 5.
And wind damage was the subject of our most recent poll question. We wanted to know if you've seen wind damage in your area, and unfortunately, most of you have. Results are non-scientific, but anecdotally, it looks to be quite a problem. Rain, wind, even snow hampering harvest. Still, there's some progress to report in last Monday's USDA report. The week leading up to that was filled with dry weather. But as we've seen, the USDA reports corn stalks breaking and ears lost due to high winds. We're nearing the halfway point on corn harvest across Nebraska, still well behind average. Soybeans are wrapping up, now about 90% complete. 88% of winter wheat has emerged, and rates mostly good to fair. Sumner farmer and now former state ag director Greg Ibaugh now officially at the USDA. Secretary of Agriculture Sonny Perdue swore Ibaugh in this week during a ceremony in Omaha. Ibaugh spent 12 years in Nebraska's top ag post. Now he's facing a whole new world as a member of the Trump administration.
I'm excited, a little bit scared too, of course, because it's new. I'm excited for Secretary Perdue and the staff that's on board already to background me and get me prepared to be able to sit in my chair and do a good job. And then we'll take a look at the tasks that are ahead of me, and we'll prioritize and get to work.
Among other things on his agenda, the future of regulations in the farming industry.
You know, some regulations are good, and agriculture asks for some regulation. Regulation is important to consumers who want to have confidence in their food supply and know that that regulation is part of that. But there's also times, and I know that as being a member of agriculture myself, I'm not shy to tell you when I don't think a regulation's working. We're looking forward to listening to those voices and taking a look at those regulations that are hindering their business progress and working together with Secretary Perdue to address those.
And with the Farm Bill up for debate, some Nebraskans wondering if their voices will be heard in Washington. Right now, there's no Nebraskan on the Senate Ag Committee, but with Ibaugh, there is a Nebraska rancher at a high USDA post. And we spoke with Senator Ben Sasse about that.
He brings tons of expertise to the table, so I think he's going to be a strong administrator over marketing and regulatory programs, but he's also going to be a huge asset to Sonny Perdue, who's the Secretary of Ag, on a bunch of trade and environmental regulatory issues. So Nebraskans should be thrilled that Greg is in that role.
The big development in Washington this week, tax policy. Nebraska Farm Bureau President Steve Nelson says it has many positives for farmers and ranchers, saying, quote, "We will continue to examine the full package and will remain engaged throughout this process moving forward. We must take advantage of this once-in-a-generation opportunity to provide lower taxes that also recognizes the unique financial challenges facing Nebraska's farmers and ranchers." End quote. Meanwhile, Governor Pete Ricketts continues to look internationally as Nebraska does business overseas. This week he hosted the first meeting of the newly established Nebraska Governor's Council for International Relations. It brings together ag, business, and education groups. Governor Ricketts called it a crucial part of growing the state's economy, adding, quote, "My administration is continuously pursuing new strategies for expanding international markets, attracting new investment, and building the state's profile overseas, and we are committed to maintaining a competitive edge in a global economy." What's your biggest concern when it comes to taxes? That's the subject of this week's poll question. Are you most concerned about federal taxes, local property taxes, other taxes, or all of the above? Head to Twitter and follow Grow, and we'll share results next week. Up next, expert advice making sense of the grain markets. Later, we honor our farm family of the month.